Sunday at 7. Hello everybody, welcome to our Sunday at 7 this week. We're going to be looking at lecture number 27 from Montessori's 1946 London lectures. So I am just going to give people a few minutes to come and find me here live before I start. So it's been really busy and it's stormy in the UK and the signal in the classroom's not quite as good. So I'm sat in the kitchen again today. So I have arranged the flowers beautifully for you behind me so you can see them there. And I will start in a few minutes when people have found me. So I've got my cup of tea ready. I'm just waiting for everyone to come along. I can see Nancy's watching first. Welcome, Nancy. Where are you watching from? Can't see a reply, but I don't always see all of the comments. So when we're ready in a few minutes time, we're going to be looking at the 1946 London lectures, and we are up to lecture 27 this week, which is called Abstraction. So I'll just give people a few minutes to find us and then we will make a start. So we'll just have a little chat about the week. It's been a really busy week again at Montessori with Miss Sandra, teaching all week and Saturday morning. And we have hit the amazing total of 27,000 followers on my Sandra Copping page, which is where you all now are listening from as I go live. So really happy about that. I've set myself a target of 30,000 followers by the beginning of January. So I think that's a realistic target based on the rate that we're gaining new followers at the moment. So if you know anybody who would benefit from following Montessori with Miss Sandra, then please tag them in and tell them to come along. The more people, the merrier. Oh, thank you. So you're from the UK as well, Nancy. Welcome. And I can see we have Eliza who's in the UK as well. So we've got some other people joining us as well. Their names haven't popped up yet. So welcome to everybody. So yeah, 27,000 followers we've hit today. So that is absolutely amazing. And if anybody's not in my group, so you're on my page, so you see all of my work and the things that I do with children and things that I share with you. Hello, Debbie. Hope you've had a good week too. Was thinking of you this week when we were at Forest School doing our palm drills. Yeah, Roman's really, really good with those now. So in my group then, which is Montessori with Miss Sandra, it's separate to this page. That's a place where you can come, ask your questions, show different pieces of work that you may have done with the children, about home or in setting. And the great thing about the group is you'll get answers from lots of people, not just me. So if you want to pose your questions into the group, send me a question. If you want to introduce yourself or show something, we do that on a Monday. So any posts that come in on a Monday, I'll automatically approve those so that you can see what other people are doing as well. If you've got a great idea, you see something brilliant, you find an amazing download, just send me the information and we can put that up in the Montessori with Miss Sandra group. Many of you are subscribers, around 300 of you are in my private group. So with the subscribers then, we're in week 5 of our 40-week Montessori course. That's going really well and everybody's really enjoying that. So if you want to still subscribe, you can. It's £3.49, which is I think just over €5, just over $5. I'm not sure of other currency rates, but it is the cheapest way you're going to find to learn, really learn about Montessori. So we've studied the Montessori philosophy for 5 weeks now. Oh, bonsoir, Sonia. So it's going really well. So if anybody else wants to subscribe and learn, just join the hub. It's there. There's also lots of discount codes for places like Adina Montessori, Marula Tree, Montessori Hut, Stave House deals. So come along, join the hub and benefit. Thank you. Oh, Eliza's put it's a brilliant subscription. So yeah, thank you so much. I think it's really good value. So if you haven't subscribed yet, don't be mean with yourself. Treat yourself, and really £3.49 a month, you will learn so much. So fantastic. Okay, it's 7:05 now, so we will make a start. This evening, like I've said, we are looking at lecture 27. So there's only about 33 lectures in the book, so we're going to have to start thinking what we're going to do next on a Sunday evening. So if you have any ideas or what you'd like, just message me. So then this lecture is about abstraction. This is about the construction of the mind being an active process. So this is a really fundamental idea in Montessori. We need to think of the mind as something, it's not just something that receives information. We don't sit and just talk to children, you know, we don't have them sat in rows, blackboard, screen. This is about children being continuously active and constructing their own knowledge, their own skills, developing their own brain. So it's seen as a really active process, which, you know, is very different to some academic systems that we see. And also this lecture's backed up quite a lot by quotes from The Absorbent Mind as well. So this is a really great book for this topic. And in this book it says, the mind is not a passive entity which receives impressions like a wax tablet. The child's mind is active. It absorbs mind as something. It's not just something that receives information. We don't sit and just talk to children, you know, we don't have them sat in rows, blackboard, screen. This is about children being continuously active and constructing their own knowledge, their own skills, developing their own brain. So it's seen as a really active process, which, you know, is very different to some academic systems that we see. And also this lecture's backed up quite a lot by quotes from The Absorbent Mind as well. So this is a really great book for this topic. And in this book it says, the mind is not a passive entity which receives impressions like a wax tablet. The child's mind is active. It absorbs, it constructs, it is creative. So we need to remember this when we're educating our children, when we're developing our educational environments for them. So this power that the child has, it's not coming from the education or from the influence of others. It's coming from, Montessori said, from nature itself. It's a natural process of growth in the correct environments with the correct experiences. So we build our ideas out of images that already exist in our mind. So in early childhood, we absorb images, don't we? We take everything in. We see everything that's going on in the environment. And then later on, we can use these things to develop our imaginative thoughts, because we already have then a really great store of impressions of things we've seen. And from the richness of these, then it enables our children to have abstract thoughts, imaginative thoughts. They have something solid to build that on. And in The Absorbent Mind, again, Montessori says, the things he sees are not just remembered, they form part of his soul. So if we think about this with our children, then the more exposure to wonderful things we can give them, the more going out into the woods, having a really good hunt round, the tiny things they find on the ground, looking at museums, just out in nature, out anywhere that could be a really interesting place for them to be. There's an amazing amount of places that are free to visit, especially museums these days. And, you know, don't follow a worksheet, just follow your child and see what draws them in, just like they are in their prepared environment, and go with it. Read or look up, or, you know, these days we have our phones and we have technology, don't we? We can instantly look up the information that the child is asking of us if we don't already know it. So Montessori says then in this talk, just as a builder requires good materials to construct a strong and beautiful building, the child's mind is really dependent on the quality of the materials, the experiences, the environment. So if it's poor, if it's confusing, it's going to affect the child's mental growth. The environment then is a crucial part. It really plays a crucial role in the development of the mind. And again, in The Absorbent Mind, Montessori says the child can only develop fully by means of experience in his environment. We call such experience work. We know the child is working to develop the adult that he is going to be. So then the process of order and abstraction. So all the impressions then that the child absorbs, they can't just remain there as a heap of disconnected ideas, can they? What does the child's mind do with them? The child's mind orders them. And Montessori wrote that this is not a method of education, but this is a natural phenomenon. The mind just does this with all the information the child takes in. And in the 1946 London Lectures, she writes, if people didn't have this power, their minds would be completely confused, just full of random ideas. All the images that are taken in, our mind puts in order, and it groups and sorts them for us, doesn't it? It makes us this amazing encyclopedia in our head. Yet ordering by itself is not enough. The child needs to be able to simplify ideas, generalise things, abstract ideas as well. So this process then of abstraction that the child's mind goes through is a real work. This is the real mental construction of the child, taking all of these experiences, all the things they've taken in through their senses, and making some sense of order out of them. Being able to group things, think, oh, that's the same as that. That builds on this idea. That's another little piece of information in my brain. So from seeing many different kinds of, for example, chairs, understanding that they're all chairs. A long chair, a short chair, a big chair, a soft chair, a hard chair, a patio chair, a dining chair. We take in all this information and then we realise that they're all chairs. We can simplify this idea for ourselves, understanding that a chair can then be many different things. So Montessori says in the 1946 London Lectures again, the real materials for the construction of the mind are abstractions. They're not just images of simple objects, but abstractions of abstractions. So abstraction, Montessori reminds us then that this develops gradually and naturally, not through teaching, but through experience. And she gives the example of a little girl who went to the zoo and the child said, I want to see the animals. Not realising that the tiger, the parakeet and the camel were all animals, because she hadn't yet formed that abstraction, that understanding. And this process then unfolds with age and opportunity, and it's supported by the right experiences, the right materials, and what Montessori called materialised abstractions. So abstraction must be given in the form of objects, Montessori says, because this is the natural way for children of this age to learn things. So in this lecture, it also talks about then acts of synthesis, so the mind putting these things together. And it's really wonderful, the human mind. It's so clever, isn't it, that we can construct not just from physical objects, but all from things that are intangible. So from abstraction, from symbols, from synthesis. So just to clarify for anyone who doesn't understand, abstraction then allows the mind to extract essential ideas from many particular different experiences. Symbol gives that idea a name or a sign, a way to represent it. And synthesis brings these separate ideas together into a larger, unified, all put together understanding. So an act of synthesis happens when the mind connects and integrates different impressions into a coherent whole being, I suppose. So when understanding begins to link across different experiences. So as an example, when Roman was a little boy, before he was saying full words, he had the word aguga. And we realised that aguga was his word for car, but he also was his word for bus and lorry and tractor. They all became agugas. But slowly he began to differentiate his agugas into dactyl agugas and dan agugas. And the aguga, he managed to distinguish them for himself, that he noticed his agugas all actually had their own individual names. And then he's extended this even further. So he got the understanding of what a tractor is, but now he can also name all of the attachments on the tractors as well. So he knows the trailer and he knows the digger and he knows a harrow. He knows all of these different things. It's amazing because when he names things in the field, I can't actually keep up with all the different things in a tractor he knows. But it all started off with this simple word of aguga, meaning any sort of vehicle. Anything that moved was an aguga, and learning that actually we have all lots of different types of transport, cars, vans, motorbikes, but when he was little they were all agugas. So this is really simple and beautiful, like evolution of language, how our child's language develops. And it also sometimes explains why you can't 100% believe what your child is saying when they say things to you, because their understanding isn't fully developed yet. Quite often children will say phrases to us that don't quite make sense because they haven't quite got the words they need. They're using the closest they have. So our language develops then. We see abstraction, symbols and synthesis at work in the child's mind as they're developing these ideas. So we have one word that's general to start with, such as Aguga for vehicles, and then the idea sort of divides off and we refine those communication skills, don't we, dependent on other experiences within the environment. So taking our child who has an interest in transport and talking about all the different vehicles walking down the road, visiting a farm, visiting a motor show, all of the things that they're interested in to really help them make a whole grouping and understand the language around cars. So then the concept of vehicles for them is full and purposeful, and it's wonderful. It's following the child's interest as we develop their understanding, developing their mind, developing their language. So Montessori then says this is the constructive power of the mind, and she describes it beautifully in The Absorbent Mind. The mind has not only the power of absorbing impressions, but also of creating from those impressions. So if we think now back to our Montessori classroom, to our environment then, the sensorial materials, what's their role? These are the materialised abstractions. So they isolate single qualities, don't they? And this is why when we're designing an activity, when we've trained in Montessori and we understand, we can look at something and say, it's not Montessori, it doesn't align. Because in Montessori, we're isolating what we're learning about. So we're learning about colour, or we're learning about size, or sound, or texture. But we're not mixing shape and colour. Which is why when you see simple children's puzzles that have a circle, a square and a triangle, and they're red, blue and yellow, it doesn't align to Montessori, because what are we learning here? Are we labelling the shape or are we labelling the colour? And in a young child's mind, it's really important to have this single quality that we're defining so that they understand they're not distracted by the names of the colours when we're actually doing the names of the shapes. So Montessori in The Absorbent Mind wrote, the training and sharpening of the senses has the obvious advantage of enlarging the field of perception and of offering an ever more solid foundation for intellectual growth. And through this work then with our sensorial materials, or things we've designed that align, the child develops the power of discrimination. And Montessori called this the root of intelligence itself. And in the London lectures she writes, intelligence is the ability to discriminate. There is no intelligence without a refined power of discrimination. And if we think on about this, we move on, don't we, from our sensorial, from our training our senses, to such things as our maths, learning our numbers. That's discrimination of shape of the numeral, isn't it? And matching it to the word. The same with our letters. It's discriminating the difference in those tiny little graphemes, those tiny little letters, and associating the correct sound with them as well. And for some children, that's really difficult, because what is the difference between a P, a Q, a B and a D? Very little. You just rotate it. So for some children, it can be really hard to define this discrimination and for them to learn their letters. They're very, very similar. Montessori summed this up by saying, a confused mind can't think clearly. The richer our power of discrimination, the richer our intelligence. It's not a passive process. The children are active in this. So work needs to be active, it needs to be joyful, and it needs to help the child to construct themselves. So self-constructing work. And when we think about the amazing things we have in our sensorial area, yes, we might give our first presentation of the materials, so I'm going to call it the textbook way of presenting something, but then our child takes their creativity, they use those abstractions, they come up with their own amazing ideas, and they're creating their own thoughts, and they're using their creativity in the designs that they make. This week, the Roman arch is always used in my classroom. Everybody loves the Roman arch. Some children have been using it for at least 2 years, because I used to tutor before I started my new classroom. And some children will still come in and go to the Roman arch because they love building it. But a child who came to me last week wanted to use all of the pieces in the construction, even the support pieces. And she noticed that the Roman arch is symmetrical. So she took the support pieces when she'd finished building and she placed them on the top. And then she was really happy that she had used every single piece in her finished arch. And that was her creative thought. That was her way of thinking. They were her ideas. So then, from the concrete to the intangible. So the child passes little by little then from concrete to abstract. and through a gradual liberation from the material is how Montessori phrases it. If we could do this, we would not be able to construct the higher parts. If we could not do this, we would not be able to construct the higher parts of our intelligence, she writes. Real and external objects help us to work in a natural way. They connect us with the world and make thoughts visible. Bye-bye. So my daughter and her husband were here. So say hello, Rachel. Hello. Bye-bye, darling. They've been busy all day working, and they just popped in to eat some supper, and now they're going off to get Roman to put him to bed because he's with his other grandma at the moment. I'm not jealous at all. Of course I am. So that was them just leaving. So from the concrete to the intangible. So when a child chooses an activity, that choice acts like a starting lever for the child. We don't know where it's going to take them. And it sets the mind in motion. And this is what I love about child-led learning. This is what I see in my classroom all the time, because my children have freedom. They have real freedom. And this freedom means that they could choose something, and I don't know what direction they're going to go in with it, but I go with them. And if we need to bring in more information, I find it for them. And they are so motivated and so engaged. And at the end of the lessons, most of them don't want to go home because they've had such an incredible time that they're really, really in charge of it. So we're going to choose something as our starting lever. It's going to set our mind in motion. So, for example, last week, a child chose the landforms and then got some of the animals from the cultural area and put one on each landform. And then said to me, is there a country that animal lives in where they have that landform? And I said, I don't know, we're going to have to look it up. So which landform? So which is the most famous bay where you might find a bear? And we looked things up on the internet because I didn't know those things. But an amazing amount of learning. So the child was reading, he was thinking, he knew the names of the landforms, but then we were looking up real landforms, we were looking up the animals, finding out more information about them. The cameras this week. I put 2 old 1950s, 1960s cameras on my shelf, just in their brown canvas bags that they were made in. They came in, oh, wow, what's in here? Well, open it and have a look. So an opening and closing activity, carefully sliding something out, that wonder, oh, what is it? That's what cameras used to look like, 60 years ago. So a lovely history lesson, comparing a 1960s Brownie camera, which is, this big, with the little tiny camera on my mobile phone. Considering all of the other things my phone can do, the camera just takes a picture. Opening it up, working out how to take the insides, taking little pieces to bits, explaining that it has a film, and then talking about the light and the process of how it works. All from that little lever of something in the classroom that grasped a child's imagination, something that caught their interest. And that's why, although we keep our main things in our classroom the whole time, we add little bits just to inspire our children to come in and to work and to think. So this journey of discovery then we go on with the children is just amazing, and we don't know where it's going to start. We just have to be ready and prepared to go with it. And sometimes that's with an individual child, and sometimes you might bring in a whole group of children who are really, what's that on the shelf today? Well, shall we have a look together? Wow! And they come up with their ideas, and they're all looking up different things. It's amazing. It's also good to have a really good range of books if you're working with slightly older children who can go off and do that research for themselves. And all of this is investigation, isn't it? All of this is educating our child, but it's things they're interested in. So a child who maybe doesn't want to come in and read a book has come in and read everything about the animals because that's what they were interested in reading about. And in The Secret of Childhood, Montessori writes, a child's work is not the result of instruction, but the result of his own mental energy guided by the environment. And that's exactly what our Montessori classroom is, isn't it? So within our classroom then, what else does it say in this lecture makes it work? It's freedom and self-construction. So this is why then in our Montessori education, the child has to work independently. That's independent of us. We don't teach the child directly, but we enable them to learn, and we enable them to construct their understanding within our prepared environment or our favourable environment. We are there as a guide. We are there to set those triggers for them, to add those levers, to give the information maybe that they need, but we're not there to do it for them or to interfere. And Montessori said, didn't she, the greatest sign of success for a teacher is to be able to say, the children are now working as if I do not exist. And I think that is so important. I love it when I stand back and they're all just so happy and engaged. And happy doesn't mean smiling and whoopee-doo around the classroom. It's like, oh my God, I feel an inner satisfaction from this work I am doing. And I don't know what else is going on in the class, because I am so happy with what I am doing, what I am learning, that I don't need to be bothered by everything else. I have this sense of achievement in me. So in the 1946 London lectures, then Montessori wrote, "The mind constructs itself freely and happily only with order. Our task is not to fill the child with knowledge, but to offer the conditions that allow this natural, miraculous construction to unfold." And she reminds us that the child is both a hope and a promise of mankind. So I really like this this lecture. I think it's it really takes us in depth into what's really, really important in what we're doing. So just to finish for this evening then, so this process of abstraction, symbol, synthesis, it really reveals something profound, doesn't it? That the mind itself is creative. The child is not a vessel to be filled, but a universe under construction. We have no idea of the potential of our child. We don't know where they're going to end up as an adult. All we can do is give them as many wonderful activities. Listen to our child, but not just with our ears. Really tune into our child and feel what it is they like. Feel what they're interested in. Feel what our child needs, so that we can fulfill the need for them. And Montessori reminds us, education is not something that we do as the teacher. It's a natural process which develops spontaneously in the human being. But as a good teacher, as a good Montessori teacher, we know how to prepare our environment, and we know how to inspire our children. We know all those little things that we can do that just makes it work for them. And the biggest thing for me is respecting and trusting the process, respecting and trusting the child, so that they can have all of these opportunities that we make available in their beautiful environment, which is what I try to offer every day. So freedom to work, freedom to choose, freedom to spend as long as I need to doing this activity to fulfill that inner need in me, so I can develop to my potential. So that was this evening's talk. I hope that you have enjoyed it. There's lots of people listening this evening, which is lovely. And I know lots of people will listen afterwards as well. I'm just going to have a little drink because I am thirsty. So we have another busy week ahead. So my Facebook challenges for the week start again at midnight. So I'll be doing all of those posts of who are the top followers and the top engagers and all the new people. If you are new listening to this, the Facebook post to welcome new people only lists 50 names, and sometimes there's 350 new people, and I can't do anything to get around that. It won't let me list 350 new people in one post, I'm afraid. So if you are new, a warm welcome to you. The best way for you to get the most out of my page is to engage, to like, to comment. What a lot of people do, because they don't want to miss any of my comment, is if you go to the 3 dots on one of my video posts and tap on them, it will give you the opportunity to add me to your favourites. And if you add me to your favourites, it means that you'll get everything that I make in your feed. I mean, what more could you want? And for free. So that's a really top tip for anybody who hasn't done that. Find a video, the 3 little dots, it should offer you the opportunity, add me to favourites, and there I'll be popping up every day with my content for you to keep you happy. So that's midnight. Then I shall start doing my videos for the week, just to get all of those ones out of the way. As I teach through the week, there's going to be we've got a really exciting week this week. So my daughter Rachel, who you just saw, she's also a teacher. She teaches children with complex needs, and she has, now some of you mustn't listen if you're bringing your children for tuition tomorrow, she has managed to borrow an apple press. Don't tell anybody. So, and we have got lots of apples. So tomorrow we're going to be making our own apple juice, and I am so excited about it. So I saw one the other day at an apple fair I went to, and Rachel was like, "Mum, I know where I can borrow one from." So yeah, so we're going to be doing that tomorrow. So that's going to be so exciting. So hopefully I'll get some videos of that. And if we have different apples, we might be able to do different apple juices as well. So that's our apple activity day tomorrow. I know lots of you are interested in what can you do with apples. So Obviously, I like my children to lead their learning lessons. So to get them to go down the path of apples, I'm going to have to put apples in the classroom tomorrow and hope that somebody says, oh, why are there apples in the classroom? If not, I just will have to do a little bit of adult leading, but I much prefer them to follow the journey and to be wowed themselves. So yeah, we might have apples on our nature table and something else with apples maybe in our practical life as well, so the children come in and are intrigued about the apples, and then later on in the lesson we will all go outside with the great big machine and do our pressing. So that's going to be fun tomorrow. Forest School on Wednesday, so I hope to bring lots of lovely videos from our outdoor day on Wednesday. So we go to a family forest school so that mum can join in as well, and lots of other things through the week. If there's anything in particular you'd like to see used, message me. And like I say, if you've got your questions, pop over to the Montessori with Miss Sandra group. 7,000 members there now. We've only been going for about 3 months on that one. And ask your questions. If you want private time with me, some people book for consultations, just message me. I'm afraid that's at my normal work rate. I can't do that for free, otherwise I wouldn't have anything to pay my bills with. But if ever you want consulting for your Montessori studies or your school or whatever, I do those things for people as well. Lovely. So I am going to go and have something to eat now, finish my cup of tea. It's all peace and quiet. Everyone else has gone home now. It's just me and mum, so I can sit down and relax for a little while and have a rest before I start again at midnight. And thank you so much, Julie. Julie, I can see you've given me 100 stars. That's really, really generous of you. Thank you so much. It all helps towards my work. I can give a really quick update. So my school in Uganda, we have actually managed to purchase, we're doing it over the next few months, a coffee plantation cross-planted with bananas, and in a year or so's time it's going to make the school practically financially independent. It will bring in between £5,000 and £7,000 a year, which means Ronald can build the dormitories, more school classrooms, he can have solar power put in. It's really going to make a difference. When we first met Ronald it's about a year and a half ago now, you know, they didn't have water, he was struggling to feed the children 1 meal a day, and the first thing I did was to send some money, and he shows me everything he does. He shows me the receipts, and we've managed to acquire land for him. He now has chickens, so the children have eggs. He has pigs, so they're going to have meat to eat as well. He has extra farming land next to the school that the children go and harvest with him, so he grows all his own maize. We've built a grain store. We've built 3 new classrooms. A couple of companies, Carla Sheep in Newmarket and Sensory Nest Early Childcare, they raised hundreds of pounds so that all of the children who were orphaned, it's up to 20 of them now, all have beds to sleep in. It's been an amazing project. So yeah, any way I can now with raising money. I run a food bank and people donate. I run things on Vinted and I run a yard sale. All of those things help raise money to help pay for this coffee plantation. So if you are able to give stars, or if you ever want to make a donation to my school in Uganda, let me know. I'll try and add some more videos sometime. There's some lovely videos last year because we actually had a well dug in the grounds of the school. So we have lovely film from the first day breaking the land right through to the day when they find water, and eventually the children are drinking the first clean water that they've ever had in their lives. Before that, it came from a ground well and it all had to be boiled because it came up dirty. So the children all have clean water at school all day, and they all take clean water home for their families at night, so it works wonderfully. Right, I really am going to go now, so have a lovely evening, everybody. I will catch up with you tomorrow for lots more Montessori, and message me if there's anything you want to see. Take care, bye-bye.